Good evening and warm welcome, everyone. On behalf of Team Avatar and myavatar.com, I'm very happy to invite you all for the 12th day of the month long celebration of Diversity Mahotsav. And this is me, Anand, who is going to be your host today. As you know, there is nothing like having a good event without following hygiene instructions. So, like, I just wanted to take that in step forward to have a few words as a reminder to you. Please keep off your mobiles away. Please put your VPNs in case if you're working on a good Sunday, so that you can have a seamless event going forward and also enjoy what we are looking for today. All right. And now we have some of the great people who've been supporting us, because a change cannot happen without like-minded people, correct? Like-minded people, like-minded organizations are very much required for any good event to happen. On that, we are very happy to have some really fantastic partners. We have our ideology partners, Cognizant, HCL Technologies Private Limited, Strive, supporting partners for Asia Private Limited, Logitech Engineering Designs India Private Limited, Saint-Gobain India Private Limited, Sodexo, and Zorian Solution. With that, we would like to tell you a brief about why we are a Diversity Mahotsav. Diversity Mahotsav is a very novel concept, because we all know how diversity is very much required for anyone and how it is presenting in our life. What is Diversity Mahotsav is all about? We are actually celebrating diversity. So we are celebrating you, me, and everyone. How? Through myavatar.com, who is presenting this particular concept to you all. To talk about myavatar.com, it is India's only diversity portal with jobs, events, skilling programs, webinars, and more of all the underrepresented groups at the workplace. For those who have joined today, we are very delighted to have you on board. We hope you would join us through this month for some riveting sessions and loads of learning. And it doesn't matter how you have been in this last 11 days, it is always a good start from now. And we can always have our social media hashtags, which you can follow through on all the 11 days of learnings and videos, which is being presented there. We also have our community partner, NASCOM, who have been a very phenomenal support to us. So you can support us in our social media hashtags, hashtag Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Celebrity Diversity. We look forward for your posting on your experience on Diversity Mahotsav at your social media handles using these hashtags. Okay. We have a lot to speak about diversity, and diversity is such a novel concept. And diversity is a great phenomenon, because we all doesn't think, we doesn't speak, we doesn't look alike. So why do we need to work in the same manner, think like in the same manner? That's why diversity is such a good phenomenon. That way we wanted to celebrate it, not in just a way of having it a name card, but more seriously, engagingly, and more intently. That's what Diversity Mahotsav is a reminder to all of us. With that, we would like to go on to the next segment. Most of you who have been in these 11 days might have got some good sound, a bite-sized sound, right? This bite-sized sound have been given by our Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, who's been the founder president of Avatar Group. We've been talking about a lot on equality and what is equity is and how different equity is from equality. What does it mean to be an equal opportunity company? Let's begin our 12th day with the 12th edition of Sound Bites. Yes, you got me right. Sound Bites. It is a series where our founder, President Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, clarifies about the pertinent questions that she's been addressing on various topics on diversity, equity, and inclusion in our 21-year career of being the subject matter expert in the DEI space. She's also been an award-winning pioneer in the space of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and been very pioneer in the field of getting the importance in the workplaces. Her work in the space of DEI is unparalleled in the country, an inspiring speaker, an author, and a very sought-after DEI strategist. Her book, The 99-Day Diversity Challenge, sequentially uncovers what inclusion and diversity means and how this can be absorbed by just about everyone. Dr. Soundarya Rajesh has won Several accolades and awards, such as 100 Women Achiever Award, Web Wonder Women Award, Winds of Change 2019 Award, Women Transforming India Award, Golden Aviator Award, and Asia's Most Innovative Diversity Inclusion Leaders Award. So now, let's hear it from her.
To begin with, I think we must ensure that all the policies, processes, and practices don't just remain on paper. They have to be implemented. So I think it's very important to have those conversations on what will actually benefit which beneficiary talent pool. And the language which is used while discussing all of this should be neutral. I believe that organizations must begin that goal of equity with training programs on non-conscious biases. We must have open forums for employees to voice their concerns. And when they feel free and safe in that working environment, we can safely say that the goal of equity is being reached.
Thank you, Dr. Soundarya Rajesh. That was a great precedence been set here. And by that, we have now getting into an important phase of our 12th day of Diversity Mahotsav. A change is inevitable. Any change is inevitable. And how a change can happen without a like-minded people coming together. And it is a collective intent and effort that can actually make it happen. That way, we have a speaker today who's going to speak on 3 traits and a magic wand for success. Who's going to speak? Let's welcome Vishaka Singh. She's the creator and founder of Shift. You know, Shift, it's simple habits and ideas for forward thinking. Vishaka Singh, a thought leader in the forward thinking space, has authored the course Shift, Simple Habits and Ideas for Forward Thinking. Her knowledge in design thinking, relentless curiosity, and 20 years of working in the entrepreneurial and corporate world has honed her expertise in disruptive thinking and innovation. She imparts this knowledge through the forward thinking course Shift. Beautiful, isn't it? As a critical thinker, she affirms that forward thinking includes a critical and creative thinking and confidence decision making as a learnable skill that steers leaders and their teams and companies towards success. With a vision of intellectual Indians in the workforce and driven by the force of sharing knowledge, and she has brought together the habits and ideas that co-shift the shape as the leaders mindset to lead successfully fast changing companies of the Indian workforce. So design thinking practitioner and an indigenous business strategist, Vishaka uses the mental models delivered through engaging workshops and told through stories in her newsletters to bring ideas into action. Her engaging writing has been published as Search to Success, weekly column on Money Control, as one of the most read columns over weekends. Vishaka is going to deliver a powerful workshop on 3 traits and a magic wand for success. 3 most mental models that will lead your life to success by Vishaka Singh. Let's get ready to be for magic wand.
Thank you, Anand, for having me here. And thank you, Avatar's team, for having me here and spending your Sunday with me. And before I begin, I must congratulate on your commendable work in the field of diversity and doing the entire month as a diversity Mahotsav to bring impetus to the kind of work which is required by the industry all across is really, really commendable. So I'm really happy to be here, and I'm really hopeful that I should leave some values, some thoughts that would enable more and more people, not only who need to embrace diversity from both the giver side and the taker side, but also to people like you who have been enabler of diversity as a workforce in the last few years of things. So thank you. And I hope this Sunday is going to be useful. I am going to share my screen with you, and I give me a moment. So, like like Anand mentioned, that my whole work has been around experiences, and sharing those experiences what makes a lot difference in the entire scheme of things of learning and how we can change and how we can work. And over the years of 20 years plus of experience in both corporate and work life, all that I have learned is something that we can control how we behave and how we succeed. We can't control what others can do to us or what the society can do or what the workplace can do, but what we can control is how do we react. And so here I am going to share a few stories with you, uh, and leave with you three traits that I think are really amazing when adopted as a habit, as a life. They are skills that really help us to grow individually and collectively at workplaces. I'm also very clear about a wand that helps us grow. And that's a magic wand. I don't know if you have guessed it so far, but I will bring it up to your notice at the end of the workshop. If you have questions, save it for the end. I think the panel will take your questions and see it. But let me share it with you, my first story. And it's not very late. In fact, it was just last year, December, right after the pandemic. We were very claustrophobic in our homes. So when we got a window to go to a beach town in Goa and spend a week together with some friends, we just jumped on it because we wanted to stay safe and secluded. We chose a small property where there were several rooms on the beach side so that all of us could share there and live contained, just to avoid more exposure as the COVID protocols had. One fine morning, while I was still sleeping, and I'm not going to share what time because it just reveals how your sleeping pattern could be, I heard a bang on my door, really loud thud. I was sharing my room with my son. So I jumped out of the bed thinking it could be my daughter who was sleeping in another room with my husband. And I walk out of the door and I see nobody. Then I saw a guy walking up the steps. We were in a cottage which had some rooms on the ground floor and some rooms on the top floor. So when the guy, he turned around, he looked back at me and he walked up. I thought he might be the housekeeping or some staff of the place, some cleaner. I went back to the room. About 45 minutes later or so, when some of us met at the breakfast, and we realized that a friend of ours who was on the room upstairs said that, somehow it feels I have left my laptop somewhere. All of us got really concerned. Did you leave it at the airport? Did you leave it at while screening, safety screening? He said, no, it doesn't happen like that. And very soon, within a few minutes, we realized not just his laptop, there are lots of laptops and gadgets missing from some of our friends' rooms. It was a strange thing that happened. And we realized the guy that I had seen was actually a thief. So he not only saw me when he entered the cottage, while going up, he met another friend who actually thought him to be the staff and gave him a jug of water to be filled. She had a brief conversation with him. He still went, she went out of the cottage, he still went on his mission. He also went inside the room, realizing that one person was in the washroom and one person was in the bed. And still he managed to take a loot of gadgets and leave the premise in broad daylight. It was uncanny, but it is true. And he not only picked up the gadgets from the room, he even picked up a bag. How do we all know this? Because of security cameras that were there. And we realized that, okay, in the premises, there was only one gate and we could see how he came in, followed us. Obviously, you can't see things, what happens inside the rooms. So one man came and did this. And it got me thinking, imagine the courage that he has exhibited Was he not scared that one of us will catch him? He was alone. We were many of us. We didn't get a hint. But yet, he went on his mission, carrying all the loots and trying to dodge us a couple of times, not once, but twice and thrice, fully knowing in the broad daylight he could be caught. And it is uncanny. It is not, it was, it is uncanny to learn a lesson from a thief. And it's a leadership lesson that courage is not the absence of fear. So, my dear participants at Avatar Diversity Mahotsav, I really want to talk to you about courage. Many a times we do not take decisions because we are afraid of failure. We do not take steps because we feel that what if I'm not being able to succeed? We want to change our job profile, we want to learn a new job, or we want to move into a new role. We want to ask something to somebody, but we hold ourselves back. We hold ourselves back thinking that, oh, it may not work. And the fear takes over a bigger portion in our mindset than the courage. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is a line I didn't give. It is a line defined by Nelson Mandela. He had written 8 signs of leadership skills for a Time magazine many years ago. And one of his leadership skill was courage is not the absence of fear. And that has stayed with me throughout. And this is what I want to pass it on to you to remember. The first trait is to be courageous, fully knowing that there is fear inside. They are like yin and yang, where sometimes fear takes bigger position, or sometimes courage takes bigger position, and it's up to you to decide which one you lead your path with. Do you keep fear subdued and take with courage, or do you let fear take over? So one of the most important traits that I would like you to believe in and follow is that have courage while embracing your own fear. Nelson Mandela said, I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not who does not feel afraid, but who conquers the fear. Try it in your life and you'll see, yes, if you're being able to do that, you will have a very different way of moving forward. And moving forward, no matter how small, is a forward movement. May I request you to play a video on my behalf, please? I'll just stop sharing the screen. Isn't she wonderful? Full of
Next number.
isn't she wonderful? Full of joy, full of cheer, full of fun. That is Eshna Kutti. If you look up for Eshna Kutti on Instagram, on social media, she is an expert in hula hooping. Before this video got viral, she's seen here dancing on a very popular Hindi song, wearing a sari, wearing a pair of shoes, closed pair of shoes, and she called it sari flow, and she did it for the sake of fun. And this video became really viral. In fact, later, now she's far bigger following when before the video was released. She's an ambassador of some brands and she's quite renowned now. But during that time, she did mention to people that I wish, or she wished that some other video which was more perfect became more viral. This was done more for fun's sake and became viral. You know why I'm sharing this story with you of Eshna Kutti? What I loved about this entire video was not the song, not the joy, not the musty that she had, not the energy that is flowing in everything. She's so careless about her imperfections. And that's what made me say, wow, look at this girl. She has learned how to embrace her imperfections and having fun with it while growing. And this is a story I really, really related to purely because all my life I have been wearing these kind of shoes even at workplaces in very formal environment. You know, now it is cool, but when you talk about 20 years ago or 17 years ago, yes, I know I sound ancient, these shoes were not so popular. But people around me would make fun like, oh, really? You don't wear heels? But the fact that she's wearing shoes and sari and dancing and the hula hoop is dropping, it's not so perfect, and the screen is not so perfect. Yet there is so much of joy in that entire scheme. It clearly shows that how she's fine with her imperfections. If you go on her timeline on her Instagram or any of her YouTube channels, you'll find beautiful videos, amazing shots, amazing hula hoop skill, and obviously very, very classy work. Not like this, but much more refined work. And the second trait that I want to talk about here is to embrace your imperfections. Why? Because there are two kinds of mindsets that we exhibit. One mindset is a mindset which is fixed, and the other mindset is a growth mindset. And these are things which are defined about people. The fixed mindset says, I am perfect. I don't need to change. I know it all. I am an expert in this field. Or I know it, I understand it. And that's where they remain fixed. Growth mindset says, I believe my intelligence can be developed even further. It creates a desire to learn. It embraces challenges. It takes feedback. If the feedback is given to improve on a particular area, it takes it not as a critique, but says that, okay, what can I do better from here? It can persist in the face of setbacks. It's okay to have setbacks because it knows that it has the faith that it will grow again. It picks up learning from their failures. And that's a growth mindset. And it is very, very important to live a life of growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. And starts with by saying that, okay, fine, I may not be perfect at this place right now, or this habit, or my skill, but I'll get there. And the second trait that I'm talking about, first being courage, the second trait that I'm talking about, to nurture a growth mindset of your own, to embrace perfections, imperfections, what we have, what we don't have. It is very important to stay focused on the process of work. If you're being able to stay focused on the process of work, you will know that, okay, where to improve. For example, when a swimmer is at a very, very highly competitive level, or a sports athlete, or any sports athlete for that matter, they are far ahead in terms of their sports achievements and skills, yet they strive for perfection. They do not focus on which medal they are going to, but they focus on the process. Can I improve my head movement when I come to breathe up in the water while swimming? Can I hold the wrist a little this way with the racket in my wrist, or my wrist movement, or my ankle movement? They go into such small, tiny details, which is on their process. Instead of saying, oh, how do I get this medal? They work on, what do I do on my process? Where is the improvement? They will look at their recordings. Their coaches will train their mind, their body, their movements, their skill, every tiny bit, only on the process part. Their food, their recovery, everything is related to process. So that's a growth mindset. And that's a very clear example if you're getting stuck to say that, okay, how do I nurture my growth mindset? Look at something which is focusing on the process, not at the end result. Third, very important thing to follow when you're nurturing a growth mindset is to follow a concept of not yet. What does that mean? Isn't it clearly that Eshna Kuti might be saying to her in her mind, this is not perfect yet. This video is not. Obviously, it became a viral for several reasons. But if you see her timeline and if you see a lot of videos, you'll see how much beauty and grace she has got in her videos. She just flows gracefully. And that's what she teaches. Not yet. I'm sure she's striving harder for even more perfection and to grow further, because that's what a growth mindset does. It takes you one level above every time. So, if you're looking to change your life, or if you want to succeed in life, which you should, apart from having a courageous approach, which has a fear hidden behind or suppressed behind, also look at nurturing a growth mindset of yours. And that's the second trait in today's conversation that I want to leave with you. I'm sure everybody knows who is he. I belong to his hometown, actually, Ranchi. That's where my in-laws stay. Dhoni, MS Dhoni, right? Namathala is not what we speak, but we speak of Dhoni. And Dhoni has a huge following, not only because of his IPL, but he was because of his captaincy for the T20 team and Indian team and the World Cup wins. I remember first time when India won T20, there was at least a 6-hour parade, victory parade from the airport to a central location in Bombay, which would have taken otherwise 30-35 minutes. It was a 6-hour parade where Dhoni was leading on a bus. That was the first time he came out as a leader, as a victorious World Cup person bringing T20 World Cup home. After that, there were many victories and wins, and there are lots of things that we have heard and learnt about. In my third story, I don't want you to tell a story about Dhoni and his cricket. I want to tell you a story which my father-in-law has narrated to me, or to the whole family. This is the residential colony of Mekon, which is a company based in Ranchi in Jharkhand. The picture on the side, which shows residential colony, is where the picture says that Dhoni had spent his childhood. Mekon is where his father worked. And there are some of the pictures on the internet showcases Dhoni playing. Even in his movies, you will see all that around. My father-in-law actually also worked with Mekon. So there are these real stories. They are not stories which you read on internet or which you read anywhere else, but these are the real experiences that people have with Dhoni and his family. So there is this friend of Dhoni who used to play with him during his childhood, and he now has taken a position of working in the same company as Mekon, where both their fathers, this friends and Dhoni's father, used to work earlier. One fine day, this friend called Sunil was driving to work When Dhoni was also driving in his SUV close by, Dhoni actually stopped, saw his friend, stopped, waved at him, chatted up with him, got out of his car, talked about his whereabouts, figured it out, how is he doing, was concerned, asked him to stay in touch, and left. A very small act. But you talk to this friend even today, his eyes will well up. He'll say it makes him very emotional because he didn't expect Dhoni, the grand Nammathala, to become so big, yet so empathetic towards his friend, where he's coming down at his level to talk to him and to nurture him, to see him and to greet him like that, to make him feel special. And that's a character, a very powerful character that Dhoni as a leader exhibited in his entire career. The power of leading with empathy. And empathy is the ability to understand the feelings and actions of another person. It is about going out of own perspective and stepping into other person's shoes. Being empathetic holds one from being judgmental, and it helps in touching a chord. And that's what made Dhoni a great leader too. He's seen interacting with fans, he's seen interacting with his teammates, he's got a style that has been done. But do you know empathy as a skill can be learned? I have put together a map here, which is used quite a bit in, say, UX design in mobile and all of that to understand the user. Empathy actually means getting in someone else's shoes and trying to understand what you say, what you think, what you want to do, what are you feeling, and taking a reaction accordingly and presenting myself. How is it important in this conversation today? Because diversity is one of our biggest challenges at workplace. And diversity, while all of us hope that the embracing increases, the percentage of embracing increases, records are showing that number of hires are increasing. But you know, even if hires are improving, what needs to improve is how the acceptance of a diverse culture is a common feature instead of a special feature. And that's because only when empathy is exercised on both the ends, the person who is coming in on board, the person who is hiring the person, the culture, everything being empathetic. Unless the environment is being made empathetic, both acceptance and being brought forward is going to take time. So my third trait suggestion to you is to try and practice empathy. You could be on either side. You could be on the higher side of a diverse culture, you could be in the making of diverse culture, or you could be applying to a position where you feel and you have a doubt whether they would take me or they would accept me. If you're in that position where you have a doubt whether you will be accepted, I'm urging you to look at empathy and exercise and say that, okay, this person does not understand my needs. What do I do to make him understand? How do I exercise empathy to make him understand me and my challenges? And therefore, how can I make a culture towards embracing it? He's taking the first step or she is taking the first step to hire, but how do we make it as a culture? And therefore, it is important to exercise that empathy, both from the person who is joining a new workplace or has been around in the workplace and feels that is not accepted, and the person who is hiring or building a culture of diversity or trying to build a culture of diversity. Empathy as a tool is not only necessary in diverse function. Empathy as a tool is necessary in all walks of life. You need your family to be understood. You need your friend circle to be understood. You need your customers to be understood. And all of that starts with something called empathy. And never treat empathy that, oh, it's a skill that is born with. It's a skill that you acquire. It's a skill that you exercise. It's a skill that you practice, and you would find yourself more empathetic. Just leave yourself with 2 or 3 questions and say that, am I understanding the other person better? Am I understanding? Am I getting in his or her shoes and trying to understand? And you will see how your thinking process is changing over time. So, practicing empathy mapping is the third trait, along with courage and nurturing growth mindset as your tool or a framework to exercise towards success. Courage is not the absence of fear, we discussed as the story of the thief. Nurturing growth mindset, we discussed as Eshna Kutti's video. Empathy mapping, I told you a story of Dhoni. All these three stories are my stories, but I'm sure if you write down and you try to look for it, you'll find your own story which will exhibit all of this. All our learnings are around us, in and around our examples and stories and experiences that happen around us. And if we are able to turn it into story form and understand, we see that how much learning are we getting. I am 100% sure that you will know somebody who is fighting fear and facing courage. I'm 100% sure that you will know somebody who's developed a growth mindset, learned something new as is moving forward. So these are the things that happen. Now, coming to the magic wand, and I'm sure you would be wondering what kind of wand it would be. For a moment, I'll give like a few seconds of pause and say that think about it, what it could be. If you have a piece of paper, write it down. Let me challenge you. Let me see what do you think is a magic wand. So now let me see who can guess this sign. I'm making a sign. If you can see it in your camera, these are three fingers that are used as a sign. Here are so many women who are making this sign. Do you know what it is? This sign is a name for Kamala Harris, a group of people who are disabled of learning, of hearing. They actually designed a name for first Asian Black Vice President of US, Kamala Harris, and said that, okay, how do we define? So there is a full theory behind writing the name. But I'm not getting into that, but the importance of a language, no matter where you are, whether you are doing it through a sign language or whether you are doing it, is the ability to understand. And the magic wand that I want you to remember is the word that we speak, is the language that we speak, is the communication that we exhibit. How we speak is the magic wand. And to exhibit very clearly and shots quickly, one word, just a change of word, changes the mind and it makes it more adaptable. You change the word and you'll realize that your thinking is changing because thinking is influenced by external interactions, in particular, how we communicate with each other or with others. They are our mental habits. So look at how you speak, what you're speaking, and it can be done in two ways. One for your own internal process of thinking. Many a times we are very harsh to ourselves. Oh, I'm not so good. Versus, will I be accepted? And if you change it around and change it, let me see if I'm going to make it through, you'll see how much of a difference that word makes to you. Similarly, if you change certain words, like it changes the patterns of talking, like instead of saying follow your passion, where follow means nothing, you're not going to run behind your passion, simply change the word and cross the follow and say develop your passion. And you will realize that, oh, develop means what can I do now? Can I hire a teacher because I want to learn playing guitar? Or should I look at some videos? Or should I pursue this further? And you know that development has a process, and that just a change of word makes it a huge difference. So, communication skills to understand, to be understood for both the purposes, for your internal thinking also, actually works as a magic wand in the life. How you communicate your language to shape your own thinking to be understood is actually the magic wand that we talk about. So, with this, I'm concluding my conversation where I want you to live with three traits, which is courage is not the absence of fear, nurture a growth mindset, practice empathy mapping, and a magic wand. Be mindful of your language. What you say in your mind, how you speak, will make a huge difference in your life. And with that, I conclude the conversation, and I'll make it open for all of you to see if you want to ask any question. These are the ways you could possibly reach out to me. I'm available on social media. I don't maintain a high following profile, but I do maintain interactivity if you want to reach out for any purpose, and I shall be there to help you out. Thank you for having me over here once again, Avatar team, and I'm happy to see if there are any questions, if you want to pose any questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vishaka. That was a brilliant magic wand. In fact, it shifted instantly with all of us, because it is not that easy for somebody to look at something, knowing something, and get it immersed immediately into their life. I'm sure how beautifully you have brought in three stories which are not away from anybody's experience, something which you saw live at first hand, knowing a thief, before your eyes, and how you would have empathized instantly having the third ride been joined with the first ride. And also, like, you might have got even fear. So you might have got threatened what the thief would have done to you. But still, like, with an empathy, you said, okay, that guy is there for some job. Maybe he has to wait for it, and you have to wait for it to take it away for a good session. And I'm sure that is a
Yeah.
brilliant magic wand. In fact, like, when you were saying about courage, about Mandela, and very beautifully you said about courage is actually not absence of fear. It recollected me of a movie dialogue of a Kamal Hassan movie where he says courage is not actually an absence of fear. It is actually pretend to be one. So in that way, like, I felt how everybody holds fear in different manner, and how fear has a good engine to drive us forward, and it is a good way to reinforce towards a greater goal. And also, when I saw the video was so fascinating, and for it, we all spent a lot of money in getting her attire, and how she brilliantly managed with the different attires, and it was so not actually a good combo to have a good dance of luck, that kind. But still, that was a brilliant attempt.
Yeah.
And it
See
not
how we
only
learn. Yeah. See how we learn from different people, right?
yeah, so
And just now I learned from one of the members of Avatar that Eshna Kuti is not known to me, but I believe one of Avatar team members knows Eshna Kuti very well.
okay,
So yeah, it's interesting to see that how we pick up learnings.
absolutely. Also, when you mentioned about Dhoni, and you did not just saying Dhoni, you said Namatala. I see that is a great Dhoni and Thala is a great way of calling unity and diversity, because everybody connects with him. Everybody calls him Thala. I think that's a great way to see life and people around. And with that, I think we have some of them have questions. Sabina was saying that it's a great session. Vishaka, beautiful stories. I liked your point on practicing empathy mapping, which I think is a very important trait. Can you elaborate a bit more? As a first question for you, Vishaka.
Uh, Actually, first and foremost on empathy mapping, I would urge everybody to understand that empathy is a skill. Remember that you could learn it, right? Many a times we react immediately. Somebody says something bad to us, and we quickly react and say that why does he doing that to me? The way to understand is to say that okay, what made him do this? Why is he behaving like this? Am I not being understood? What we cannot control is how a person is behaving to you, but what we can definitely control, how do we react? So to practice empathy mapping, it is very, very important that we start controlling our reactions first. Once we start controlling our reactions and we try to understand that part, empathy mapping is actually done by consumer researchers a lot, where people are hired, researchers are hired to say that, okay, let me understand, I want to launch a particular category of product. Let me understand how a consumer is going to behave. So there's a lot of research that goes behind it. But what if we have to practice on an individual level? You and I have to practice it. And you say that, Vishaka, now your talk was really bad and I really want you to get out of this place. And how am I supposed to react? I may just say that, no, Anand, I was trying to make sense. Or I may say that, okay, let me hear him out. Why is he saying it? Let me hold my reaction. So first I hold my reaction to try to understand. And that's the first step in empathy. And that is what I would like to answer to Veena, saying that when you want to elaborate, try to step into someone's shoes. But before you step into someone else's shoes, which is easier to say, first hold your own reaction and say that, let me see what I can do with it. I hope that makes sense to her.
I hope too. I think that was a the right way to put it across, because as you have mentioned already, not yet, right? So not yet is
Yes.
also a practice of
Yes.
having a self-development all the time, looking at how we think, behave, and nurture ourselves from time to time. I think so. Start from you and start where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there is another question where, as a practitioner and also as an individual who've been practicing, which habit you think have personally helped you in overcoming your self-limiting beliefs, if you had any, in fact?
Oh, lots of self-limiting. Nobody is perfect. So lots of self-limiting. But so I have curated these 15 habits as a course called Shift, Simple Habits and Ideas for Forward Thinking. And the habit that I feel, which is the toughest habit, and which is what your question is, that what you think is one of the most important habit. One of the habit that is there in the course is called improve, simply improve. And I feel that is such a habit which challenges you. Every time you feel that you have done your best, and if you think of that habit and say that, oh no, I have to improve even further, it's something that is really, really challenging. And that also kinds of centers you back to your growth process. So it's not limiting, but sometimes your own success can become limiting. Your own success says that, oh, you have achieved it all, you don't need to learn more. And that becomes a limiting factor. What do you do then? And in that case, when you say that, okay, I have been a great leader, but let me see how can I improve, it brings you down to your own center of growth. And it says that, okay, now let's look at how are you going to improve on that. So when you are feeling that improve is a habit that I really try to practice far more than any other habits, I keep it in mind. So once you establish your growth mindset, you accept it, you do it, but you keep on growing. But you always have to remember there's always, always, always a scope of improvement in life. It's not like you get 100 on 100 all the time. So as a practitioner, that's a habit I suggest. It's a part of Shift. It's not mentioned here.
Yeah, because the shift happens in a jiffy, right? And you have to keep that self-limiting beliefs as a stepstone for success.
I would
Absolutely.
like to correct you. Shift doesn't happen in a jiffy. Shifts happen in very small, tiny, tiny, tiny steps, which may look like it has happened in a jiffy.
Okay.
But it works like we focused on one word change, is what it works even in life like this. So shift is not, Avatar has been 20 years of work in diversity, right? Or maybe more.
Right.
And the team would know that how little changes would have possibly got a bigger piece. So it is the same thing that happens with us. Every little thing happens in that manner. So
Absolutely.
yeah, a small changes make a big impact.
Yes, you said that. You said that, like, how a small one word can actually bring out a big change. In
Yeah.
fact, when I used Jiffy and you corrected me, it happens in a tiny pieces, and it is a shift in me. I have to admit it. So there is a question, like, from Janani. She is asking, like, can self doubts be shed through constant practice and conditioning?
uh, so I'm not a psycho counselor or psychiatrist to comment on mental being. But what is self doubt? Self doubt is trying to say that, okay, I can't do something, right? And self doubt comes in various shapes and sizes. Sometimes the self doubt could be as simple as that, oh, my hair is not looking good. I may not look good today on the screen, versus self doubt could be, I may not be fit for the interview because I don't have this kind of a skill. But there are different kinds of shapes and sizes of self doubt, and each can be addressed. The minute you start focusing on what is important, and I like to work on frameworks. So if I know that what is important in life, and I am trying to focus on the process. So for example, I gave you an example of my hair and my look and my confidence of coming and speaking at this forum. And suppose if I had a self doubt that, oh, I'm not looking perfect today, I had whatever, or I'm not well prepared, I would focus on the process. Is my content ready? Have I practiced more on uh, speaking well? Have I put the slides together? Am I making sense to people? That's all of these are process led. What it does is the self doubt sits in one corner in the mind, and your attention, your whole mind starts working on the process. And you will see how your confidence builds up. So if you pick up the example of what is the self doubt about, is the self doubt about can I do something or not? If you do, can I launch a new product or a service? So you have to think how many people I have practiced with, how many people are accepting it. Let me work on the process. Can I reach out to 100 people first and see? So what will happen? Your self doubt about whether I'll be successful or not will move towards how do I reach 100 people? And that's how you quash your doubts, by focusing on the process, not focusing on the words in your mind. And that is why I said words are important, because what you speak to yourself is what will change it. So if there's a doubt, you say that, am I focusing on the right process? I might be looking for a job, but how many people I have reached out to, how many no's I have got. Two no's will make me say that, no, I'm not acceptable in the world. It doesn't work like that. But let me say that, have I made 20 lists or 100 people list? What happens in those 100 people? What do I do if all those 100 say no? You don't have room for self-doubt if you focus on process.
Process. So process is the word, and it's not just a word where you think we have to follow the process, but rather a process that you have to inculcate with oneself, rather than getting into the instant gratification of feeling, doubting, or thinking that I'm good enough or not good enough is not
Yeah,
what you're saying.
self-doubt is the fear. Self-doubt is the fear I talked about in the first
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
And courage is the process.
absolutely. So does it also mean that thinking is an acquired skill?
100%.
Okay.
100%. My story in itself, I believe, is a full of that.
Mm.
You guys, one of the reasons why I chose to speak on this platform, it was not about anything else, but because I really, really promote gender diversity. And if you allow me to speak for a minute, I mean, my story is that I come from a town in Bihar 22 years, 23 years ago, where women were not allowed to work. Allowed means it was not my decision. It was my family's decision, or the family I was going to get married to, whether I should work or not work. Luckily, and thankfully, and I'm gracious about it, that my family, my parent said, understood that this need of mine. And I actually struck a deal with him, my father, saying that you let me work for 1 year and I'll marry whoever you suggest me to marry. This is a negotiation I have done. I have never looked back. We never negotiated later than that for that. But I was one of those who came outside of Bihar to work, and he shut his hospital. He's a doctor, he has a hospital, and we stayed in a hotel here, and we kept looking for a hostel so that I could work. I was recruited by the Times of India president, and he wanted me to come to Bombay, and that's how I started my journey. And I feel that, all the experience, thinking, every project that I have got is because of my thinking skill. I have not got it because I've known somebody, or I've liked somebody, or any of those things. It's just a growth. And how do you nurture that growth? And which is the genesis of why I have written this course, because it can be acquired. It's just that
Absolutely.
we believe that you're born with thinking skills, but what you read, what friends you keep, what stories you try to understand from, there are lessons everywhere. It's just that we need to pick up the right lessons and implement them.
Okay. So which means the process does not come to you automatically. It actually evolves from time to time. And what
Yeah.
one can grow with the presence. Thanks for sharing that. So thank you so much, Vishaka Singh, for sharing great insights. I'm sure, a lot of lives have got shifted today. And even if somebody was waiting to be shifted, I'm sure our YouTube video will help them to get shifted. Yeah. So with that, I would like to have a quick run through of the 13th day. That is for tomorrow. A wonderful session. We have our
Thank you.
next
I'll
level of
take note.
speaker. Yeah, I just will have to thank you. Just hold on for a minute, and
Thank
it is for
Sure.
Mr. Rajashekar Painiyappan, who is the founder of Vishesh, who is, as the name suggests, is very, very special. It's an impact enterprise for the people with disabilities, PWT, as we call, by providing information, training, and assistance in accessing high quality jobs. So Vishesh trains, works with some of the best employers in the sector like technology, business processing, financial services, retail, and hospitality. Vishesh also works with employers and offers a range of support services, progress, disability, inclusion at the workplace. So Vishesh also provide design and execution related services for products and services targeted at individuals from low income and disadvantaged communities. Vishesh works in disability inclusion have won recognition by way of 2019 NCPD Shell Helen Keller Award for Workplace Disability Inclusion. As a co-founder, Raja is jointly responsible for building business that delivers both market aligned returns and social impact. So please come forward, all of you, along with our speaker. Please come along tomorrow to join again for my avatar's diversity Mahotsav and get impacted much long. And Vishaka, thank you so much. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for being
Thank you,
here.
Anand.
And it has been a pleasure to have you. And it is not a mere word saying that we have been shifted. Truly, truly, as we have seen at
Thank you.
firsthand how you have collected your own life experience and how that has made a difference in your life and how that you are
Thank
wanted to bring it upon to larger audience for the benefit of having a magic wand for everyone. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And at this
Thank
point
you.
of time, I also would
Thank
like
you.
to thank all our partners, ideology partners, Cognizant, HCL Technologies Limited, Strive, our supporting partners for Asia India Private Limited, Logistics Engineering and Designs India Private Limited, Saint Gobain India Private Limited, Surexo, and Zorian Solutions, and our community partner, NASCOM. People, please come to our social media hashtags, hashtag diversity Mahotsav, hashtag celebrity diversity, and do post your experience at diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with hashtags. If you haven't registered yourself at myavatar.com, please log on today at myavatar.com and register yourself. Explore various opportunities and activities at a portal that celebrate diversity. Browse through to find jobs that might suit your skill sets, read articles of interest, upskill yourself through various webinars conducted exclusively for you. Do join us tomorrow sharp at 4 p.m. for yet another insightful session. You can also view the hashtag diversity Mahotsav series on our YouTube channel. Avatar, the power of diversity. The link is posted in the chat box. In case if you missed our previous days, please do click on the YouTube link to watch our previous episodes. With that, me, host Anand, taking a sign off. I'm sure the magic wand would have helped you a lot. Please use all the skills that has been given to you today. Happy and very, very good evening and a happy Sunday to